Over the years, there are several things that have come to my attention as ways to judge on a personal level the quality and utility of a system, particularly a system that is connected very strongly or directly to an intellectual property. You know, a Star Wars game, a Star Trek game, so on and so forth. So, when reading over the rules, when seeing how the rules are presented to you, and understanding the approach that the designer has taken, you should be able to immediately think of examples from that inspiring media to go, aha, that's why this is in here, or that's why this is in here this way. And when you can't, it doesn't really feel like that rule system is a good match for that property. Likewise, once you have the rule in mind, it should be possible to go back to any given scene pertinent to that rule and break it down step by step and say, okay, this is this part of the rule in action, or this is this other part of the rule in action. And when you do that, you may discover that the sequence of play, or the order of operations, doesn't always match, or at least doesn't match perfectly, the fiction being presented in the film or the book or what have you, but that all of the components are there, and that we can kind of make a direct connection between the information or the results or the outcomes generated by the use of the system and match them up one for one with events in the scene. And so that's what this video is about. It's taking a pretty interesting way to turn the perception check into something interesting, into something specific to Star Trek. And, you know, bring it out into a full and fun implementation of connection with that IP and with mechanics, the mechanisms of 2D20. So we're going to take a scene from the beginning of an episode, a typical original series beginning to a, you know, a Star Trek episode of a type, and take a look at a sensor sweep and specialist report and how that ties into the results of a roll and the results of using one momentum and another momentum for obtain information, and the role of assistance from the ship and assistance from other officers on the bridge crew. So, without further ado, let's travel to the wreckage of the Beagle.
No doubt about it, Captain. Space debris comes from the survey vessel, the SS Beagle.
Missing for 6 years. Now this junk in space.
Portions of the antimatter nacelles and personal belongings, Captain. No signs of bodies whatsoever.
Then whatever destroyed the ship, the crew was able to get off safely.
The context of this opening scene is a difficulty 0 sensor sweep revealing a wreck, and the Game Master has given the basic results of that scan. Context is teased out of that information by roleplay between the players, but no one has to repeat what the Game Master has told them. Then we set up the situation for the character who is assisting to demonstrate how they are assisting.
Navigator, compute the present drift of the wreckage.
Computed and on the board, sir.
With Spock on the scanners and Chekhov computing the drift of the wreckage, we understand how the two are working together, and this ends the information we get from the basic roll. After this, we'll be asking questions at the cost of 1 momentum per question, with the Game Master telling us if there's information worth having, so no momentum is wasted.
Assuming that the wreckage drifted at the same speed and direction for the past 6 years.
It would have come from Planet 4, Star System 892, directly ahead.
Only 1/16th parsec away, Captain. We should be there in seconds.
Where did the wreckage come from? And what is that location? Again, we see Spock and Chekhov coordinating together to give us the information for the cost of 1 momentum.
Standard orbit around planet. There may be survivors there.
SS Beagle, small class 4, star drive vessel, crew of 47, commanded by... Jim, I believe you knew him. Captain R.M. Merrick.
So now our crew asks, what is the wreck? And we discover it's the SS Beagle. And because we're paying momentum for this, it needs to be relevant. So we find out about the captain and his connection to Kirk. Then a new roll is made to find out about the planet. And we begin with learning everything there is to know about the planet without going into great detail. The basic essential information. It's an Earth-like planet. Then we role-play through our discussion of Earth-like planets and what that means. And then we move on to spending momentum to find out how Earth-like is this planet. And Spock will be able to tell us about cities and roads and the era being 20th century Earth. Then it's time for other specialists to get involved.
An excellent road system.
Captain, both amplitude and frequency modulation being used. I think I can pick up something visual. It's a news broadcast using a system I think they once called video.
Television was the colloquial term.
Put it on the screen.
Aye.
So what we have seen is that at a certain point, information, useful information that can be purchased with momentum will dry up, and it'll be time to connect with the other specialties or the relevant specialties around the bridge. So in this case, it's Lieutenant Uhura, who uses her specialty as the communications officer to bring in information that there's AM radio and there's FM radio, and for the spend of 1 momentum, she's able to deliver a television signal, which gives us the very important information of the culture, the fact that Rome on this Earth-like planet never fell, and that they are in charge with brutal actions like gladiatorial games broadcast live. So when we put everything together, we end up with a reason for the crew to be involved. There has been a wreck of a Federation vessel. No sign of the crew, meaning they didn't die, meaning they had to go somewhere. The captain has met, in some capacity or another, the captain. They know where the wreckage came from. It's an Earth-like planet, one with humans, or at least technologically advanced civilization at the 20th century level, with technology very similar to what Earth developed. And then through Uhura, they discover that it really is very much like Earth, but with a divergent history, one where Rome hasn't fallen. Are they going to get involved? Who can say? That's up to the players. The other thing that we can see here is that although the order of operations may not be exactly how we will end up imagining things in what we say as description, or what we simply imagine on our own, or what we share imaginatively through collaboration at the table. Everything has a place, and everything fits in with the mechanics. Now you, going through that scene or going through that episode, may put the brakes differently, where the basic information ends, what is or is not a spend of 1 point for extra information, or what might actually represent something like creating an advantage, or what have you. And that's cool, because that's what makes your game your game. And if all of the people in your group walk away from that session feeling like Star Trek things happened in a Star Trek way, because of the Star Trek game you're playing, and because of the personalities of the people involved who want to play in a Star Trek game, then it was done correctly. If people walk away from that session thinking that it's too difficult to get information, they never know what's going on, they don't feel like highly competent bridge crew, then there's a problem. If they never have to spend momentum because they always have enough information at the very basic level on their difficulty 0 task, then there's a problem. The crew should neither have too much nor too little of anything. They should have the right amount. But finding the right amount, well, that requires play and getting to know each other and solidifying your group vision of how it is that you are bringing Star Trek to life at your table. Anyway, I hope this brief exploration of a scene from Star Trek has been helpful. If there's something about it that makes you want to ask questions or talk about your own game, please do add it in the comments below. I'm interested. Anyway, until the next video, take care.